Hey team, well welcome back to another episode of Tree Chat, and today our chat is on Cabbage Tree. And I'm just down at my local reserve today because I was here the other day and I saw an awesome specimen of a cabbage tree with heaps of seed, and I thought, hey, let's do a video on this guy. I really like cabbage trees, they're an awesome tree. This is our lots of seed up there. Nice strong healthy tree. So let's have a closer look. This part here is the part we're interested in team and growing. That's our seed, and you can see there's heaps on this guy all the way up there, all those white bunches of seed. So we had an awesome spring this year, heaps of flowering of the cabbage tree, which is great, and that's resulted in lots of fruiting. So in the springtime you'll see the really bright white flowers on these same stems here, and then they'll transition to sort of a green unripe fruit over the summer, and then now here we are in the late autumn and they have transitioned entirely to a white fruit. So when they get to that sort of whitey creamy, that means they're ready, they're ripe, and that's when we want to grab some of these fruits and extract the seed to grow some. So I'm just going to grab some of this fruit now team. Sometimes the hardest part is actually finding low enough fruit on the cabbage trees. If they're a nice specimen, they obviously grow nice and tall. You might look up and say, hey, there's some epic fruits at the top, but you just can't get to them. Luckily in this case they're down low enough for me to stretch up. I'll just grab a couple. Let's have a look at these. That's our plump ripe seed here team. If I mush it up a bit. So each one of these fruits is going to have multiple seeds. See the black seeds there? That's what we need to sow. That's what we're after. So let's get a few more. That's what we're after. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm actually going to clip off a stem of these guys because I want to get quite a few seeds, and we're going to try out a few different methods of growing. So let's get quite a few. See all the fruit on there? Each one of those will have multiple seeds. Just drop it into my bucket. Okay folks, that'll probably do me. I'm just about getting to the end of my reach here and I've got plenty in my bucket. Hopefully you can see that. So that's what I need for now. We'll go home, we'll get these prepped up, and then we'll start some sowing. Okay team, so back to base camp. What we need to do now is remove our actual fruits from the stems, and that's really easy. We can just strip them off with our hands. Round them up into our container there. You'll see some fruits already missing. Now these will have been eaten by birds, so cabbage tree seeds are spread by birds, especially the tui. So we're getting quite late in the season. It's almost the end of April, and you can see that a lot of these have already been munched, which is awesome. So they'll be out there being spread, doing their thing. Still plenty for us humans to use. Now as these are a bird spread seed, we're going to want to get rid of the flesh around the seed. So to do that we're going to soak them, but first I'm just going to go through and just pull off all the seeds from the stem into my container there. Try not to lose too many off my bench here. Here's the finished product team. All the fruits have been stripped off those stems now. So heaps of seed we can extract out of those guys. These are our dead soldiers, our stems. If you're out looking for cabbage tree seed and you see these guys sort of dying stems on the trees with no fruits in here, you've missed the boat, you're a bit late. But don't despair, because they do tend to ripen slightly different times. Even down the reserve today there was trees that had done their thing and with the empty stems, and then obviously there was still trees with lots of fruit. So look around, good chance you'll find something with fruit. Similarly, if you do find a tree and it is loaded with fruit, but the fruit is green, then that's too early, they're not ripe, so you need to wait until they get to this nice sort of whitey creamy color. Okay, so final step for now, I'm just going to go and fill this with water, and we'll leave that overnight just to help the fruit soften up a bit, and we'll come back tomorrow and start getting rid of all that flesh. Well, here we are, team. Our fruit's been soaking overnight for about 24 hours, so let's have a go now at getting rid of the flesh off the seed and move on to our next step. Okay folks, so now for my next steps, got myself a sieve and a bowl, and of course our seed. So I'm just going to drain this off through the sieve. You can see our fruits in there, and they are starting to get quite mushy. So let's have a go now at actually mushing them up basically to try and separate that flesh off the seeds. Pretty much just going to go through now and squash the fruits against the side of this sieve. Basically mashing them, I guess you'd say, with the objective of trying to get the flesh off the seeds, so we can obviously discard the flesh and just keep using the good bit, the seed. Quite a long process, this one. I kind of wish I had a bigger sieve too, but just making do with the kitchen sieves. So if you've got a big one, that's probably going to be more helpful. More capacity, more surface area. We're getting there. I can see the seeds coming out of the flesh now. I think that's probably all I'll do with regards to squashing the seed now. So let's have a better look here. Heaps of seed in there, guys. So next step, we actually want to dry that out because there's still some husks to separate out, and I also want to split up the seed a bit, and it's really hard to do when it's super wet. So what I've got here is just a random oven dish with some paper towels in it. I'm going to spread these seeds out in here. Just spread them sort of as evenly as I can through here. We're going to want to leave these guys to dry out. Alright, I reckon that's going to do it for now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop these in my pantry overnight. We'll see if they've dried off tomorrow morning. If not, we'll leave them some more time. With the aim here is to get the seeds totally dry before we start to do our sowing. Alright folks, well here we are 2 days later since you last saw me. These seeds have been drying out, doing their thing in the pantry. So I checked up for a day and they were still a bit damp, so I've left them for another day, and also changed this paper towel halfway through when it was getting a bit damp, so we can, keep this drying process going. So things are looking good now, really dry. Now we just need to separate off the seed out from all those dried flesh, which is the seed husks. I really want to do this outside, but it's absolutely hosing down. And I tried setting up in my shed to show you guys, but rain on the tin roof, not a good mix. So we're gonna do this next step here in the kitchen. Phase one, let's just pop everything here into a bowl, making sure not to lose any of our seeds. I'm trying to get away on me. Okay, excellent. So there we can have a see of everything. Lots of these dried husks with the black cabbage tree seeds in amongst them. Okay, so you can see how dry the husks are and how light they are. And next step, and which is why I wanted to do it outside, we're going to just gently blow across the bowl, and these husks, because they're so dry and light, are going to fly out. Probably make a massive mess in my kitchen, but I'll deal with that later. And as long as we get a good bowl of seed at the end of it, hey, small price to pay. Here we go. Alrighty folks, I reckon that's pretty good. You can see most of those black seeds there are nice and clean. They almost look like tiny little kidney beans there. And we've still got some which have got some husks stuck on. But it's not much, and I think we'll be fine. Even if it does inhibit them a little bit, we've probably got 80% nice and clean anyway. So Just going to go ahead now and lay these out, folks. Here's our haul there of seed. And I want to go ahead and actually divide this into 3 because we've got heaps of seeds. So I'm going to use my usual growing method, which is to pop them in the fridge in an envelope, dry for 4 weeks, basically stratify them a bit and then plant out. And I'm going to try another couple of methods. I read that a cold moist stratification in the fridge can be good, so we'll try that. And then why don't we try another method? Let's just go au naturel, and we're just going to sow them straight away. Really don't want to count these out, there's too many. So we'll try get some nice sized piles here so we can have a good comparison. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw one of those piles just in this envelope, bog standard envelope, and then it's just going to go straight into my fridge. So here's those team, literally just in the envelope. I'll just close it up and then write my date on it, pop it in the fridge, and I'm going to leave it there for 4 weeks. Then I'm going to get it out and we'll sow those. So that's step 1. Okay, for our second lot, team, we're going to try a cool moist stratify in the fridge as well. So all I need for that is a chucks cloth, a dishcloth, and a Ziploc bag. So I'm just going to wet this cloth now. So I've just wet that in the sink behind you guys. Open it out, and our seeds are going to go into this cloth. We're going to put it there, you can see it there. So just separate out that pile that we want. Okay, these are going straight on. So this cloth is, I'd describe it as being damp without soaking wet. And that's just going to mimic the seeds, lying somewhere in the bush over the winter months until they're ready to come out in the spring. And to artificially accelerate that process, we're going to pop them in the fridge too. So we're mimicking winter, hopefully speeding up our process. Alrighty, so that's our option 2, and I'm just literally going to pop that straight in the fridge next to our first envelope of seed. Lucky last pile, team. I'm going to have to brave the weather for this one, and I'm going to go sow it straight away. See what happens. Be a nice control, be a nice test. Number 3, let's do it. Alright team, this is option 3 real quick because it is raining pretty good, so I'm just stuck in between the showers. This is my normal method of planting or of sowing. We're going to get a base of our standard potting mix into our seed tray. Probably 2/3. And then on top of that we've got some seed raising mix here, which is a nice finer blend. It's going to be perfect for sowing our seed into, so that's going on top of the normal potting mix. So just trying to get that level, and I'll give it a slight pat down to make a relatively nice firm base for our seed. Now we've got our actual seed here, and I'm just going to go ahead and scatter that on through the seed tray as evenly as I can. Okay, so that seed's in there, and now I'm just going to give it a really light covering with the seed raising mix. It's quite a small seed, so we don't need heaps on top of it. Looks pretty good to me. And final step is the water, using my squeezy bottle, giving that a nice good water. Alrighty folks, just a bit of perspex over the top now like always, and I'm going to pop that into my shade house. I will also write on a label what exactly is in this one so we don't get them confused later on. There we go team, nice and snug in there. 5 weeks in now team, I'm ready to go with round 2. First lot we've already got in our shade house as you saw. Second lot is just the ones that have been in the fridge dry, so just been in this envelope. I'm going to go ahead and sow them exactly as I did the first lot, and then we'll pop them in the shade house as well, and we'll see how things go. So here's our envelope guys, just the seed as we left it in the fridge. the same, nothing's happened. It's just been hanging out in the fridge there, keeping cold. So now I have laid my base here exactly as we did it last time, with the base of potting mix and then the seed raising mix on the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and scatter these seeds across this tray like I did on the first lot. Okay, and same last step as before. Got our perspex on, ready to go into the shade house. So folks, I've popped this guy in exactly where the first tray was. But check out this first tray. This is 5 weeks in. Check out that germination. I had to take the lid off the perspex lid off about 2 weeks ago. They're already getting above the level of the tray. Check that out. So at this point I'm kind of thinking to myself, sowing fresh seems like a really good way to go. I've always had them in the fridge. But anyway, we'll give them some more time and we'll keep going with our experiment and we'll grow them all through and we'll see what happens in the end. Maybe it's going to turn out better overall germination from the fridged seed, but we'll see. And I'll come back to you in a couple of weeks and we'll sow that last lot which is still in the fridge in the cloth. Hey folks, well I'm back now. Another 2 weeks have gone by and we're ready for stage 3, which is sowing our cool moist stratified seed. These guys here, which you saw me put in the fridge right at the start, so they've been in the fridge for now 7 weeks. They've just been in that plastic bag, in the damp cloth, and they've just been hanging out there, keeping cool, keeping moist. So we'll go ahead and get these sown now as well. Let's check out this seed, how it looks inside here. Not expecting much change, if anything. Seeds are all gone, team, into the bowl. They're looking very much like those other seeds we saw, which is to be expected. They're just been in the fridge. It's too cold to grow on there. I've gone ahead and prepped our seed base, team, exactly as we saw it last time. So we'll go to our 3/4 base of standard potting mix with a seed raising mix on the top. Show you where I put these guys. This is our new tray here that we've just sowed. Popped that in exactly the same spot as the first two, and just shifted our second one next to it. This has been 2 weeks, nothing coming up yet. So this has been a bit slower than the first tray, which was au naturel, but I think because we've chilled those seeds down, that's to be expected. Just checking out the first tray, this has gone super well. So these guys have got already a 7-week head start on these. Germinations look really good and they've continued growing strongly through the winter. So at the moment these fresh seeds are still clearly in my mind as the #1 option. We'll see how these guys go, and I think being into the depths of winter now, we might have to wait a little bit longer for germination, but let's see how it plays out and I'll report back to you guys soon. Hello again, team. We are back for a 6-week check-in. Here's our 2 trays here, most recent ones. Well, we can already see there's some excellent growth here. So now this first tray is the ones that have just been in the fridge dry. So these guys have been in now 8 weeks. So we can see some awesome growth. I'm going to have to leave that perspex off now. Obviously they're getting bigger. So these guys started sprouting after 3 weeks. And looking pretty good. Not super thick yet. I'd be expecting quite a lot more to germinate yet. And next to them, their mates are the ones which we had in the cool moist in the fridge. So these guys are sprouting up nicely as well. So they're 2 weeks younger. So they've been in about 6 weeks now. Looks like possibly a better germination coverage so far. Obviously these guys here, the dry ones, are bigger, but they have been growing longer. Whereas it looks like potentially more germinating in the ones which were moist. And we can see our mates over this side, the au naturel, which we planted first. They're going real good. Alright, back soon with further update. Hey folks, back for our check-in. It's been 11 weeks now since I last talked to you. Things are looking very good in here. So I think what I'll do now, I'll pull these trays out and we'll have a better look and see what we think. Well team, here's our 3 trays here, straight out of the shade house. Just pop them out on the deck here so we can have a better look. Preliminary indication, look, they're all growing really good, so I think there's maybe a little bit of variation, so we'll bring in and we'll have a better look what's going on. So this is our first tray, so sowed without any treatment to the seed. Look, these have come up really well, pretty even germination, the height's good. You can see there's still a few with the seed left on the end of the seedling, but most of the seeds have dropped off. They've grown really well, they look good. So that was just sown fresh straight in there. We'll go to our number 2 tray now, which is the ones that have been in the fridge dry. Now these look really good. You can probably see here the overall germination has been really good. There's not many spaces in that tray, so probably germination rate is better than the natural, and these have grown really strongly as well. You can see the height is there. They look really healthy. Plenty more with the seeds still on them because they are a bit younger, but those will drop off as they grow, so that's looking excellent. And our 3rd tray here is the ones which were in the fridge moist, so they are 2 weeks younger. Good germination without being great. There's a few bare patches. My shade house did spring a leak over the winter and was dripping into this tray, so you can imagine in here there was actually more growing. It's just unfortunately been dripped on continuously, which wasn't great. So it's a bit of an artificially bad result here, but it's still, I would say, not as good, certainly not as good as the dry seed. These are excellent, and even the natural is pretty good. So I would say, just looking at this is the winner, our dry seed obviously. So team, it's not been a scientific experiment. Obviously we haven't controlled all the variables down to the last minutiae, but we've used the seed of the same tree. It's been in the same shade house, same environment, so I think it gives us a pretty good indication of what's going on there. And we see that the dry seed in the fridge has been the best overall result, but I'm not unhappy with the fresh seed as well. That's perfectly fine. That germination rate is good. The cool moist has gone okay, but I think what this tells us is that there's probably no real need to bother with the cool moist stratification in the fridge. You know, it's just takes a bit longer, a bit more effort, and we can clearly see that without doing that the seeds germinate and grow really well anyway. So I think for me going forward, if I'm just going to grow a few cabbage tree te kōuka, I would probably bang them in the fridge for 4 or 5 weeks dry and then sow them. But if I was going to do a heap, probably wouldn't bother, just sow them fresh. You know, like that germination rate's really good anyway. Save the time, get them going early, and get them away. So these guys are ready to prick out now, so I think this experiment is safe to say is over. So thank you for watching along. Hopefully this helps with some of your growing in future. Hopefully get out there and grow some te kōuka yourself. Very cool tree, I love growing them. So as always, thanks for watching and good luck with your growing.